Hi, I'm Joe, and in this video I'm going to go over 8 strict money rules that I think you will benefit from. Everyone has their own unique way with their personal finance. Creating your mindset about money and how you manage money is completely customizable to each of you. But at the end of the day, the goal is to have more money in the future than you have right now. That's the goal for everyone. But for some, that goal becomes a motivation. For some, it becomes survival. And for some unfortunate individuals, it becomes an addiction. But the goal is the same. If the goal is the same, then it's the combination of rules that every individual has in their locker that is the game changer. So here are 8 rules that I think everyone should add to their locker, especially the last 2. The first money rule is start playing the game early. Money is the game that we're all players in. The earlier you enter that game, the more you're going to know about the game and the better you are going to be at it. Starting to gain financial intelligence and start doing like side hustles from a very young age is going to be beneficial, not just for your brain, but for your bank account. One thing money can't buy is time. Time is priceless. The financial struggle that you might go through in your late 20s, mid 30s, that most financially illiterate people go through can be completely avoided. If you educate yourself, get into the game and level up early. You will have had experiences and taken risks that might not have paid off, but you will have known how to deal with them, and you will know how to deal with them if it comes up again in the future. Bad debt and stupid spending can be totally avoided by smashing that like button to help more people know about personal finance and this kind of stuff that they don't teach in school. So make sure you hit that like button. Rule number 2 is to build an emergency fund. You want an emergency fund that's always going to be available to you. An emergency fund is literally what it says on the tin. It's a sum of money that you keep aside just in case you need to have money in an emergency situation. For example, if you have lost your main job and your side hustles are just starting out and they're not enough to cover the salary of your main job, then an emergency fund can be used to pay for essential things. You want to build an emergency fund as soon as possible, and it should be your first priority instead of investing or saving in any other manner. An emergency fund needs to be done before all of that. The emergency fund needs to be in a place that you can access quickly. I don't think I need to say that. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory why you need it to be in a quick access place. Make sure it's either in cash somewhere or maybe like a secret bank account that no one else knows about. The amount that you want your emergency fund to have depends on you, but roughly 4 months' wages will do, because it takes 4 months on average in the UK to find a new job or find a job. That is just a rough estimate. It can totally be more or less depending on how much you think is enough for an emergency fund. Try and avoid using your emergency fund as much as possible. It can be tempting, but you want to avoid it at all costs. It's the last resort, so don't touch it. You should not be dipping into this if you have a regular income or you have enough money coming into your bank account every month or every week. It's not just money you can spend and you've just, given yourself. You have to discipline yourself in understanding the reason why you have an emergency fund. Don't get tempted, just save and just have it as liquid money somewhere. The third rule that has helped me get better at personal finance and money management is not buying into the newest trends. More specifically, fashion trends. But this can include stuff like gadgets and just unnecessary stuff. Like those hoverboards, what they're called? The hoverboards, or, scooters, electric scooters, stuff like that. Or buying whatever's trending on TikTok, for example. I'm talking about the waves of temporarily popular stuff. Fashion trends just rinse your pocket. Why? Well, because you're not going to use that item of clothing for a long time. Trends come and go very quickly, so you lose the value of the clothing very quickly. You wear it a couple of times and it's trendy, and then it goes out of trend, and then it just stays in the back of your cupboard for years to come. Look, trendy items are cool, but most of the time they're just an even bigger waste of money. Just think how practical and useful things are going to be when you're buying them. Take a step back and think of it from a future perspective, a future you perspective. Are you going to look back and say, oh, what a waste of money? Or are you going to look back and say, yes, that was a good purchase? Next rule is the 51% rule. This is a rule that's not really easy to follow to begin with, and certainly not for those who like to spend their money. 51% rule is something that I came up with personally, and I use it all the time. And I feel like it's helped me a lot, and I'll keep using it and implement it in my life for the foreseeable future. It helped me control my spending and really see money in a different way. Okay, what I do whenever I receive a sum of money is just split it right down the middle. I just immediately think I'm only gonna get half of it. And then I start to think, how can I go ahead with just this 50% and not the whole amount? And just by introducing that thought, as soon as you get any kind of money will make you so much more frugal and just push your creativity with that money. You start to see where you can cut corners and where you can save money. And then you still have 50% just untouched. I understand that for most people, keeping your spending under 50% can be hard and not really possible. But even still, just keep the rule in your mind, because it still encourages you to be as frugal as possible and cut corners in your spending. And having that goal of 50% will motivate you to create enough money so that your spending is under 50%. It encourages creativity and discourages financial laziness. And when you get to a stage where 50% is enough, and by enough, I don't mean easy, I mean challenging, you can think about going that extra 1%, squeezing all of that frugal juice out of you. That sounds disgusting, but it's an easy rule that I use and helps me be more creative with my money. But mainly it helps with the right mindset. Sleep before you buy. This is a proper money saver if you follow it. If you're going to buy something that you consider to be a luxury, then just wait before you buy it. Have a night of sleep before you press that buy now button. Because we humans get really excited when we get something new. And we are irrational people to begin with. And when we're excited, we become even more rational with our decision making. A lot of money can be spent when buying stuff when emotions are high. Sleeping on it will help your mind get out of that intense, excited state and will improve your decision making when you wake up and in a calmer state of mind. You'll be able to make a better judgment to whether those Jordan 4 Oreos are worth the 500, 600 pounds that they are. This rule will save you from so many temptations to buy just unnecessary and expensive things, and it will save you a lot of money. It only takes a little bit of self-control to do this and to not make impulsive purchases. And if you think money is crucial to you, then this is crucial to you. Sleep before making a luxury purchase to make a clear judgment on whether you want to buy it or not. Start saving small. The next rule that I think everyone should take into consideration is to start saving small. Spending and saving are fundamentally the only two things you can do with money. So therefore, it's very simple. It's one or the other. When most people decide that they want to regain control of their personal finance and fix up their spending habits, they do it in a complicated and unrealistic manner. They'll want to stop spending money on everything except for like gas and electric. They take too big of a bite. However, making changes to your spending habits doesn't have to be so dramatic. In fact, the less dramatic it is, the more sustainable it becomes. You have to find the right balance. Starting small and being consistent is far better than taking one huge leap and then just not going ahead with it. Jog for 5,000 meters instead of sprinting for 100. By taking little steps, you'll find it much more enjoyable and fun in saving money, as well as it being financially beneficial. Because you're not overwhelming yourself straight away and you're doing it in the right direction. You're taking steps in the right direction. Point of the rule is to not overcomplicate reducing spending. Keep it simple and keep it consistent. Zero gradient. This is a very interesting rule that I came up with just by myself for me during an economics lesson, because we do all kinds of graphs and stuff like this in economics. And I thought, you know what, why don't I apply it to my personal finance? Bear with me as I try to explain. And keep in mind that it is a theory. The objective of this rule is to make you live below your means. That is the basic principle. Most people, when they get paid more money, they live like they've been paid more money. And their expenses increase with their income. But the financially astute people increase their income, but they don't increase their expenses that much. They live below their means. To understand what living below your means actually means, I'll draw two graphs. Here you can see with expenses on the y-axis and income along the x-axis. This is gonna sound like a maths lesson, but trust me, bear with me. Graph 1 is your average person, graph 2 is the rich. The aim is for the gradient of these graphs to be low because it's expenses over income. We want that to be really low, which is what happens as that line goes more and more horizontal. When it's horizontal, the gradient is 0. What this means is you don't spend any more than you do when you had 30,000 income, or when you had a 50,000 income, when you have 70,000 income, when you have 500k income, when you have a million income. It stays the same. That's a 0 gradient. Obviously, that's near enough impossible or improbable, but the point is to lower your gradient as much as possible and get it as close to 0 as possible. And this is done by keeping your expenses at a low rate, even as your earnings income. Live below your means. A great example of this is Jeff Bezos himself. There's a video on YouTube where he's doing an interview and he's driving around in a Honda when he's worth like $5 million or something. He's a multi-millionaire and he was driving a Honda. He was living below his means. Try and decrease your gradient every month. You can do this just by calculating your expenses versus how much you get. Try to decrease it every month. there's a math challenge for you. The final rule that I'm suggesting to you in this video is to budget your money. It's a must for you to split up costs and categorize where you need to and want to spend your money. It just gives you a financial structure, and when you have a structure, you're not so lazy. It's a pretty simple concept, but it's the most effective concept to better money management, and therefore that's the number one rule that I suggest for you guys to follow, and it's the number one rule that I use for myself. I'm not going to go into more detail over here on this video, but I will leave a card on this side. This side. There's a suggestion up here in the eye of a video on how to budget and everything you need to know about budgeting and the number one rule. So check that out if you want to know a bit more. I am not a guru, I'm not a rich guy. I'm just a young guy that likes to talk about money. So all of these rules are not magic potions. These are rules that I've used and I implement in my own life and has worked for me. So therefore I'm just passing on the information to you guys. And even though I'm really young, I strongly believe that these rules have really improved my money management skills. If you enjoyed the video and you found some useful information or some kind of value from this video, make sure to smash that like button. And when you're down there, might as well just hit the subscribe button, because without hitting the subscribe button, you can't physically press the bell notification button. Now, but in all seriousness, click the subscribe button only if you're interested in personal finance and bettering yourself and bettering your money management skills, because I post every single Thursday for your guys' benefit. Thank you for watching. See you next week in a bit.